The extraordinary concentration of American military power in the Persian Gulf has reached an unprecedented level. Never before, outside of wartime, has there been such an armada of ships and firepower amassed off the coast of Iran. Aircraft carriers, missile defense systems, long-range bombers, and thousands of troops now dot a region that is already on the brink of war. The question, though, is no longer about whether the United States has the capacity to strike Iran. It is about what Washington actually wants to achieve. That distinction matters. Military capability is a blunt instrument. Military strategy, on the other side, is a political choice. At present, America appears suspended between two competing impulses. One, to revive some form of nuclear diplomacy with Tehran, or to launch limited military action designed at changing the regime. These are not complementary options, these are fundamentally opposite. Behind the scenes, there are hectic parlays between Trump intermediaries and Iran's officials who are hoping to prevent this slide towards an open conflict. Their aim is not grand reconciliation, but something far more modest, a face-saving off-ramp. Such an arrangement would allow the United States President, Donald Trump, to claim a political success while at the same time avoiding a direct clash with Iran. The very fact that there is such a diplomatic scramble suggests that very few actors in the region, including America's allies, Israel and its Gulf Arab neighbors, want a slide into anarchy. Trump is convinced that Iran wants to strike a deal on the nuclear question.
Sir, on Iran, the Supreme Leader today said that U.S. attack could spark a regional war. Do you have any response to that, sir?
Why wouldn't he say that? Of course you're going to say that, but we have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close, a couple of days, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we don't make a deal, then we'll find out whether or not he was right.
To understand why this moment is so fraught with danger, one must look at how Tehran interprets recent events. Iran's leadership does not see the past 6 months as a series of disconnected crises. Instead, it views them as parts of a coordinated campaign to weaken, isolate, and eventually overthrow the regime. Now, seen from this perspective, an American strike would not be an isolated event, it would be read as the opening act in a broader regime change campaign. So the logical Iranian response to it, therefore, would be to protect the regime at all costs. This worldview explains Tehran's posture currently. Despite the scale of the American deployment, Iran is showing no signs of capitulation. Its red lines are firmly drawn. There's going to be no negotiations beyond the nuclear question, no surrender of its sovereign right to enrich uranium, and no question of discussing ballistic missiles. At the same time, Iran has signaled some flexibility. It's willing to accept some sharp limits on nuclear enrichment levels and stockpiles, but only if these are matched by comprehensive relief on sanctions. So in other words, Tehran is prepared to bargain, but not to submit to America. For Washington, this creates an opening and also an uncomfortable reality. Given the depth of mistrust and political constraints on both sides, a comprehensive nuclear agreement appears improbable, even if that is what Trump badly wants. The most realistic pathway to de-escalation is a narrow, temporary arrangement, which is a partial freeze on nuclear enrichment, the return of international inspectors from the IAEA, and limited relief from sanctions. Such a deal would buy both parties time, but it would not fundamentally resolve the underlying confrontation between America and Iran.
نکات مختلفی خب رد و بدل شده. در این مرحله ما در حال بررسی و تصمیم گیری در مورد جزئیات هر روند دیپلماتیکی هستیم که امیدواریم طی روزهای آینده به نتیجه برسه.
Personalities matter as well. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei harbors a deep mistrust towards Donald Trump. It has been shaped by years of hostile rhetoric and hostile action. In the latest shot, Khamenei has warned Trump that any attack on Iran would quickly escalate into a regional war. That is something that none of America's allies, including Israel, want. Trump is less attached to diplomatic orthodoxies than many of his predecessors. What he wants is a quick win. Crucially, even without a deal, Trump is not compelled to order immediate military action. The current deployment gives Washington leverage over Iran. It can tighten sanctions, it can squeeze Iranian oil exports, it can raise costs incrementally. But this approach also carries its own dangers. Prolonged standoffs create pressure for decisive action, particularly in a political environment where MAGA, Trump's base, is baying for Iran's blood. Trump doesn't want to be caught in the same trap as Jimmy Carter or George W. Bush. At the heart of the problem lies strategic ambiguity in Washington. The Trump administration has not articulated what its end goal with Iran actually is. Is it regime change? Is it nuclear restraint? Is it curbs on ballistic missiles? Or eventually, do they believe that the regime will collapse if you just keep the pressure up? Now, unlike in Venezuela or in North Korea, Iran is a large, complex state with deep institutional resilience. The regime has survived for close to 50 years now. It is under strain, but it's not on the brink of implosion. Expecting dramatic concessions under pressure misreads both Iranian history and its leadership's instinct for survival. The coming days, therefore, are not merely about whether there will be a strike or whether there will be a deal. It's about whether Washington chooses to recalibrate its demands for a quick off-ramp or doubles down on pressure without a clear political end in sight. A limited strike will not topple Iran's leadership, nor will Tehran abandon its ideological foundations because of American coercion. Iran is also unlikely to fire the first shot, so the initiative rests with the United States. In a sense, the ball is in America's court, to strike or to rethink what kind of peace it genuinely seeks with Tehran.
Fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.